All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to do lesson 825, completing the square part two. Now, yesterday we started completing the square, and hopefully that made sense to you and you guys feel comfortable doing it. Today we're going to take it one step further. Okay, so the goal for today is to learn to convert the equation of a parabola into graphing form by completing the square. You will need some lined paper because we are going to do a lot of paper and pencil work, and you need to practice it. Okay, so as we do today, we're doing 825. We are doing the same thing we talked about yesterday, completing the square. Um, our focus is now going to be on the second part. So we're going to start with a little bit of review. Okay, so for warm up, I want you to pause the video here and write down that equation and change it into graphing form. When you are done, unpause it and you may check your answer. Okay, so here we go. To complete the square, you know I'm going to have to, no, you don't have to draw the square. I like to draw the square. You know x squared is going to be here. We know we need to divide the middle term in half. 2x is going to go here and 2x is going to go here. Now I know this is going to be x plus 2 and x plus 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Now here's the thing. To complete the square, I need 4 tiles. I have 7. Therefore, to complete the square, I'm going to take away 3 from this side and take away 3 from this side to maintain equality. When that happens, I end up with y minus 3 equals, and what's left on this other side here is the square of x plus 2 squared. Now to finish this off, all I have to do is add 3 to both sides and plus 3. Boy, that's ugly writing. And my equation would be y equals the quantity of x plus 2 squared plus 3. And that should have been your answer, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that's what you got. Good? All right. Well, let's take it a step further now. Now, what happens, problem 103, how could you complete the square to change f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 2 into graphing form? How would you, well, here's the thing, right there, we've got to split that up in half. And so what are we going to do? You guessed it. We are going to have to go into partial squares here. So you see we have the x squared tile over here, but then we've got to split the 5x into 2.5 and 2.5. Now, yes, you may want your calculators here just for the sake of time, but that means this section here is going to be 2.5 times 2.5, which would look like this. So as you see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. These two halves are another 5. These two halves another 6. And then we've got a quarter, which is the same as 2.5 squared. Therefore, to solve this problem here, to complete the square, I need 6.5 squares. I only have 2, so I'm going to have to add 4 and 5/10 to both sides. Okay. Um, 4 and 5/10. Actually, that's wrong. Not 4 and 5/10. 4 and 25 hundredths. Oof. My bad. You almost caught me there. I wonder who would have caught me there. Quaid has been on a roll. He's caught me on a couple mistakes. That's awesome. So that means I've got now f of x equal plus 4 and 25 hundredths equals my square here, which is x plus 2 and 5/10 squared. Wow. I never cease to impress how ugly I can write on this board. I'm really frustrated. My bad, guys. So I then, to finish off, I subtract 4 and 25 hundredths from both sides and 4 and 25 hundredths from over here. And I'm done. I get my f of x equals the quantity of x plus 2 and 5/10 squared minus 4 and 25 hundredths. Does that make sense? So it's basically the exact same operation. I split the middle term in half, the b term in half. However, if it's a odd number that is going to go into fractional parts and decimal parts, and you're going to have to be aware of that, okay? All right, so now I want you to try this next one on your own. Let's start with A first. Okay, so for A, go ahead and pause and try to find, oh, look what it says. Vertex and y-intercept. That's all I need, vertex and the y-intercept. Okay, so you should be able to solve that. Take about 3-4 minutes each and see what you can get, and then unpause it and we'll check your answers. Okay, so here we go. Here's what you should have done. Now, first of all, I know the y-intercept already. The y-intercept to this first problem is 0, comma 0. It's going to go through the origin here, okay, because it's plus 0 here. Now, I know my middle term here. I'm going to try to do this without actually drawing the square. But I know I'm going to take half of this term here, which is 5, okay? So that means I'm going to have f of x equals, ooh, x plus 5 squared. Now, well, let's go ahead and draw just to make sure, okay? So here we go. Generic rectangle right here, or the square here. I know x squared goes here. I know 5x and 5x. So that is where I got my x plus 5 and x plus 5. Now, that means over here I need 25. Okay, so I'm going to do that 25 now, and let me go ahead and erase this here so I have a little bit of room to work with. That means I need to add 25 to both sides. Okay, so adding 25 to both sides, I go plus 25 and plus 20. Now, I added 25 to this top part up here to complete the square. So please be careful on that part. I probably shouldn't have drawn that at that point. So now I've got f of x plus 25 equals my completed square, which is x plus 5 squared. I subtract 25 from both sides, and I get my answer, f of x equals a quantity of x plus 5 squared minus 25, which, again, remember what they're looking for. They're looking for the vertex. So be careful. What is the vertex there? Remember, it has to be x minus h plus k. So the opposite of 5, so it'd be negative 5 plus k. So the opposite of that would be negative 25. That is my vertex. Okay, so y-intercept, vertex. Good? Okay, now let's try the second problem. Second problem, again, generic rectangle, or the rectangle or square, however you want to say it. X squared. Ooh, now I've got 7x, so that means I'm going to have 3.5x and 3.5x. Okay, so it's going to be x plus 3.5 and x plus 3.5. Now, get out your handy dandy calculators here, or figured out what would go in that top right corner. 3.5 times 3.5 would be 12 and 25 hundredths. Now, I have two there. So to get to 12 and 25 hundredths, I'm going to have to add 10 and 25 hundredths to both sides. So plus 10 and 25 hundredths. That gives me f of x plus 10 and 25 hundredths equals, by adding that, I now have a complete square there. What square? This one here, which is x plus 3.5 squared. Subtract your 10 and 25 hundredths from both sides, and I've got my answer. If I can only fit it in here, f of x equals x plus 3 5/10 squared minus 10 and 25 hundredths, which gives me two things. Well, first of all, gives me the vertex. What is a vertex here? Again, x minus h. So negative 3 5/10 plus k. So same thing there. Negative 10 and 25 hundredths. Put it in parentheses here. Also need my y-intercept. My y-intercept here is 2, and that solves that problem. Okay, now that was a lot of information. I hope you were able to process it. Please try out the homework, go through some of these problems, try it out. Okay, now, um, the other big thing I want to point out to you, and hopefully you've been watching the video, What you are going to do today is a little different. I'm trying something new. When you are checking your homework, which by the way, the homework is this right here. All right. When you are doing the homework, um, once you've done it, tomorrow I'll put the answers. Once you're done checking with me, or actually before you're done checking with me, you should have checked your answers on the new Google Form document, which gives you the answer and then asks you to answer some questions on there. Please be honest with that information. Please, guys, this is for your own benefit. So please make sure that you have that information on your paper. Okay. By the way, also right here, this should be 181 810. This should be 8110. Okay. So please, from now on, you're going to check your homework on the Google Forms. You're going to then, after you're done checking every single problem, you're going to answer that form. That is what you are going to turn into me. That is how I know you're doing your homework and keeping you accountable for that information. So please make sure you do that. Okay. Also, this does not count towards your half an hour. So this is my half an hour. This doesn't count. This is if you want to. There is a something fun for you to do there. Okay, so I may try to go ahead and post that picture there if you want to Sudoku. Um, but with a little extreme math there, I'm thinking of a couple of you nerds that might really go into this. Some of you should know, all of you should know most of these, but some of them are, yeah, pretty crazy math. Okay, so see if you want to have some fun with it. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you followed along. Please make sure you're watching your videos as we do this. Watch the videos always, and then go to the lesson and the homework. Okay, all right, have a good night.